if you guys know this, but I can actually see a lot of analytics and data as a YouTuber on my end. And consistently, the most popular thing searched from you guys is Spectra versus Medela. Which one should I get? So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about why these two brands are so popular and so often put against each other. Now, Spectra versus Medela, that's a little vague because like I'm staring at a dozen pumps here from Spectra and Medela. There's a lot of pumps, so what are we talking about specifically? But let's talk about these two brands, what pumps they have, which ones are good, why they're doing what they're doing, and then maybe which ones are better. Spectra and Medela are really two titans in the breast pump industry, and they have been for quite a while now. But what gives them that edge? Let's talk about it. So when we're talking about Medela, the brand, really what they have going for them is brand longevity and innovation. They've been in the breast pumping space for a long time. And so lactation consultants, moms, La Leche leaders, they know and trust this brand because they were some of the first people doing breast pumps. They were not the only people doing it. We have long-standing brands like Amida. Hygieia is kind of a branch off. They've been around too, but in the beginning, there just wasn't that many people doing what we now know as the current breast pump market. Some of the first electric breast pumps were created in the 40s, which is kind of crazy to go look at that. In 1980, Medela came out with their Classic, and this was the first portable hospital-use pump. I rented one and tested it for a while, so I've got data on it, but I don't have one anymore. But this was kind of the first thing of its kind where we had a hospital pump that moms could use and could get milk out efficiently. And so this brand became really popular in hospitals especially, and it kind of hasn't gone away. 1983, they created a manual pump, right? Which was awesome because now you could have a really inexpensive thing at home to get the milk out. 1991, they created their first mini electric pump. So this was kind of a handheld pump. It had a battery on the top. If I can find a picture, I'll put it here for you, but just an electric, kind of looks like a hand pump, but it had an electric motor. And this again was innovation for the time. Just to be clear, Medela isn't the only company doing this, but there was really only one or two, and then maybe some smaller other ones doing stuff. But Medela really was that big company that started putting out pumps. 1996, you'll recognize this pump because I still see it around sometimes now, but they came out with this personal use double electric pump in style. And this pump was manufactured and sold for like 25 years, like a long time. This is actually what I used about 9 years ago now, when I went back to work, because this is what a friend had and she was done with it. She gave it to me, which is a huge no-no, by the way. You can watch this used breast pump video. But this is what we knew even 9 years ago, right? It was still the brand that you could just get that people knew and trusted. And that says a lot when you have that trust from users and friends and family. 2001, so a few years later, we saw the Medela Symphony, and this is still a very common hospital-based pump. Again, we have other brands out there too. Another really popular one that kind of came alongside Medela too was Amida. They've got hospital-based pumps, but I mean, who doesn't know what the Symphony is, right? It kind of became the gold standard. And this was their upgrade from the Classic that they had put out in 1980. And so this was like a Cadillac compared to that. The other one was very archaic looking, but it worked. And so Medela's had contracts with hospitals, WIC offices, distributors for a really long time, which is why you see their pumps everywhere. Then we had the Affordable Care Act in 2010, and that really seemed to trigger this breast pump industry when companies realized that they could manufacture and sell breast pumps and it would be covered through insurances, and there was a huge market for this. And that's what has kind of led us to our current market today, where there are just like millions of breast pumps. Okay, maybe not millions, that was an exaggeration, but there's a lot. And it really is because this is a lucrative business to be in for companies looking to make money, unfortunately. It's also leading to some cool innovation, and that's great for especially mothers who need to pump or want to pump or whatever. We're seeing a lot better pumps come out. We're also seeing a lot crappier pumps. That's just kind of how economics works in a market like this. But right after that Affordable Care Act in 2011, a Korean company called Spectra kind of came into the game because they realized that they could manufacture a hospital-grade pump, whatever, there's a video on that, don't get me started, that was at an affordable price. And they quickly became popular on the markets as kind of being known for like a really strong effective pump that was hospital grade is how they marketed it and was affordable. It didn't have the cost. It had quality. You could move around with it. And that was a big deal. The Spectra 1 came out and the Spectra 2, they're very similar. One has a battery, one doesn't. So this one's often a little less expensive because it's cheaper to make, right? And turns out this is an awesome pump. Now, I have a theory that the amazingness of this pump, and it's just been so effective for so long. I've never talked to this company, but I suspect that this might have been a happy accident. I don't know if they really studied and innovated something on purpose, but it doesn't really matter because this pump works really well. They haven't changed it in over a decade, which I can't say for all companies. You know, there's a company that has recently started changing the way that they manufacture their pumps. They're the same pumps, but they are not the same on the inside. I'll put a video up here on the Motif Luna, which we often had compared to the Spectra, but then all of a sudden they started, I don't know if they switched manufacturers or something, and now it's definitely not as good. But Spectra has remained consistent and become popular, especially with moms, not necessarily hospitals and companies and things, but users loved the pump and it was affordable. Currently though, the breast pump market is like a kid in a candy store, right, with less sugar and more silicone, where you're just trying to pick. There you got smart pumps, you got wearable pumps, budget-friendly options, really innovative technology pumps. You've got the old classic standards. You've got the upgraded standards that maybe aren't as good as the old ones. Like, it's a lot. So why do we have this continued love for Spectra and Medela despite all of these other options rising? And honestly, some that might even be better. But you guys continue to search Spectra and Medela. Why? The answer really is familiarity and trust. They've been around a long time. We trust them. We have a lot of reviews on them. We have a lot of information on them, and they're very visible, both to professionals and consumers. In fact, I often see a lot of IBCLCs, lactation consultants, recommending these brands due to their experience with them. However, it's important to note that lactation consultants don't receive any formal training on pumping. And there are some out there that are really well versed and know a great job. I love talking to them too, but most of them, what I see is they're just kind of picking the pump that they know. In fact, I had one mom tell me the other day that the pump she had wasn't working for her. So her lactation consultant recommended this one particular pump that was very strong. She said it's the best pump ever, but it was way too strong for this mom. She had a terrible reaction for it, but it was just the pump that IBCLC was most familiar with. And maybe it had worked well for her personally, but she kind of only had this knowledge of one or two options. And that's kind of where we run into the problem of recommending pumps, especially from lactation consultants who are mostly trained in breastfeeding. We actually did just create a training for lactation professionals. So if you are an IBCLC or if you know an IBCLC that you love and you want them to learn more about pumps, we have an extensive training designed for professionals, over 11 hours. And I just tried to share what I know and what we've learned about pumps. Anyway, the link's down below for that one. Getting back to these two brands, this pump became really popular. And so what did Medela do? They noticed that, and then they tried to come up with a similar pump, People talked about the vibration of the Spectra, and so Medela said, well, we'll put vibration in one of our pumps and we'll upgrade. This Pump and Style Max Flow is the upgraded version of the Pump and Style, although they're not really that similar. So I don't know. I think they were trying to capitalize on the brand name or the name of that pump recognition in the new pump, although it's not a lot like it. However, this pump has not been very well received by mothers and professionals. I just feel like Medela maybe isn't as in touch with the current market as they should be, And, I've talked to them over there and they're doing good things and things are intentional. And Medela is a long-standing company. They've done a lot of studies on breast pumps, which it's hard to find data on breast pumps and pumping. So I'm glad that they've done that. They've been around for a long time, but some of the pumps that they're putting out just aren't measuring up as well to other pumps on the market. So are these still the best two options to be talking about? Not necessarily. There are some other really good options on the market. So I encourage you to kind of explore the market that we're in, the breast pumps that you have available. There's some really fantastic portable pumps. One of my personal favorites is the Genie Advanced. It's so small. It works really well. People that like Spectra tend to like that one as well. And we have a lot of comparison videos on the channel of if you like this pump, maybe you'll like these ones. And I know it can be a lot to sift through. So we have a couple resources to help you with that. We have a webinar called The Best Breast Pumps for Working Moms. If you are a working mom and you're looking for a pump that you can trust with your milk supply when you go back to work, that would be a great webinar to watch. I get to help moms personally inside my program. So if you're like, whatever, I want someone to hold my hand, I just want someone to tell me what pump to get, how to use it, and be on my way, then we want to talk to you because that's what we love doing. And if you just want that step-by-step guide, you want someone to get to know you and then say, look, this is the pump that's going to work best for you, I can do that. My team can do that. And we'd love to chat. You can schedule a call with us down below. We also have lots of videos on the channel. Like I said, if you want to dive in and explore, we have coupon codes for a lot of them too. I love saving you guys money. And you know, since we have so many subscribers and such a good reach with this channel, companies are happy to give us codes and to share those discounts with you. So I love doing that for you, helping you get them for free through your insurance. There's links down in the description for that too. We're really here to help you. And back to the question as we finish up here, Spectra or Medela? We got to talk specific pumps, all right? So you need to tell me which pumps from these two companies you want me to compare. Because if we're comparing the Symphony to the Spectra 9, I'm not sure that that's a fair comparison, right? I mean, these have different purposes and they're hugely different. Medela just came out with another newish pump, but it has these cups. And actually these cups are pretty cool. We've got a couple videos on that too. But what ones do you want me to compare to each other? Tell me so that I can do that for you. Because these companies are making good pumps, but sometimes they're not. So be careful just sticking with a brand because you love the brand. Really explore the pump and make sure that it's what you're looking for. Make sure that it's actually what you need. I wish I could tell you the best breast pump that would work for almost everybody, but I really can't. It depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to initiate a milk supply because your baby's in the NICU, a really strong hospital grade pump is a great option for you. This might also work because this is also a fantastic pump. Will this work? Probably not. But later in your postpartum period, you're busy, you're working at home, you're working outside the office, this might be a nice option for you. And so it just kind of depends what you're trying to do, what your pumping goals are. If you want some help walking through the aspects of pumping and you want to learn what I know, if you want easy access to experts to help you along, get on a call with us. We'd love to talk with you. But Spectra versus Medela, the forever question. Anyway, I look forward to chatting with you down in the comments about which pumps you've tried, which ones you want me to talk about next, and we'll go from there. Happy pumping!